Hey there, YouTube. Everybody out there ready for the weekend? I know I am. For me, it's going to be kind of a mix of getting outside and watching NBA basketball. I'm into the playoffs right now and enjoying that. But today I wanted to finish the week talking about my plant-based diet and how my plant-based diet is simple and kind of encouraging other people not to complicate it, and also just kind of clarifying how I eat, what I do. I have to tell people over and over. People constantly write, or they'll send me something, or they'll make a comment going, oh, I didn't know you do that, I didn't know you do this. Well, I put out a lot of content, and I have for a number of years, and you can't sum everything up by watching one video or one little piece of content. And also, too, a lot of times people, I'm very high raw, but I'm not fully raw. I've never been fully raw. Sometimes I think I need to say that in every video. And even so, never since I started this have I been in sync with a lot of kind of processes in the raw world. Like people still write to me asking about detox, healing, and juice feast and juice fast. I've already told you I don't do those. Not judging you. I'm just like sometimes also trying to save people time. I'm trying to be like, okay, maybe my content in for you. Maybe you're looking for this guy that's doing this raw or whatever. But I've just tried to keep this as simple as possible basically since I started 11 years ago. You know, I've made small turns. That's also something that never resonated with me either. I see a lot of people in the plant-based community, the raw community out there. They're always jumping one way or another. Well, what's so and so doing now? Well, they're eating like this, and then they just make complete different turns, and they're doing this all the time. Whereas I like to think of myself, it's like a big ocean liner. On a big ocean liner, you don't turn real quick, you make course corrections, and that's what I do. But anyhow, my diet depends largely on fruit, greens, sprouts, specifically broccoli sprouts and lentil sprouts, although I am going to expand my sprouts and start sprouting a little bit more. I want to do microgreens. Oh, just to throw in too, I'm restarting my microgreen thing. I didn't do it exactly right, and I went to Nate, Lissa's husband, and he's helping me, and I've bought his book, so I'll talk about that later. But so the sprouts, microgreens, fermented. And when I talk about fermented, I don't eat a lot of that, because anytime you mention fermented to certain types of people in the plant-based community, especially raw people, the super pure ones, oh, but it's too much salt. I literally eat like about a tablespoon, maybe like a couple of fork bites of fermented, but it's so good for our gut. I like the seeds a lot. I always keep hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds around. That's something that I've only started doing differently, like in the last 6 to 8 months. Is I used to just I'm making my green smoothies. I'm just on autopilot, and I put some hemp seeds in there, and I'm like, well, why not just mix it up and put a good mix of those in? So every time I make my green smoothies now, I'll put in some flax, I put in some chia, and I put in some hemp seed. Good profiles on those omega-3s. I keep it low fat. I eat almonds. I don't eat almonds. Why did I say that? Just first word that came to mind. I eat nuts. I eat almond butter. That's what I was thinking of. And also too, like, people like to see things in very exaggerated versions. It's very white, it's very black, and there's no in between. Anytime I mention any nuts, anytime I mention any almond butter, a lot of different things I mention, somebody will say, well, you better be very careful with that. You can't do this. They're fattening, and you know this, they're that. I'm like, yes, I know the appropriate amounts to eat the things that I'm eating in. Like when I'm eating nuts, in fact, I'm more conscious of that than probably 99% of the people out there eating nuts. I know what a serving size looks like. It's basically like for walnuts, almonds, whatever, it's about the palm of your hand, but not even touching your fingers. So it's not like whatever you can grasp in there. It's just a little thing in the palm of your hand. When I eat almond butter, the most I ever eat at one time, 2 tablespoons. And then when I eat 2 tablespoons, and that's not very often, when I eat 2 tablespoons, I don't do any more overt fat for the rest of the day. More likely, it's usually like 1 tablespoon of almond butter. But I just like I said, just kind of like to get a mix of that. Back to the greens, I try to eat a lot of those. I don't really eat the spinach that much because it's just, I don't know. I like spinach, love spinach, but it doesn't do a lot for you as compared to say kale and some of the other things that aren't as high in oxalates as the spinach is. And no, you don't have to worry about all the greens. Do your research. Do your research. Don't just like so and so said this. I hear that in everything. I hear that in sports. I follow a lot of stuff on Twitter that's sports related. And too many people just, well, somebody told me, I heard. Go verify that stuff for yourself. Make your own decisions. You may make a different decision from me, and that's okay. I respect that. But at least know why you're making your decision and make informed decisions. Now, when I eat the cooked food, and also, too, for you die-hard, raw as law people, I love you guys. I respect you. I got a lot of friends that are fully raw. Melissa and Nate, I'd eat any food that they were to put on a plate for me. But also one of the things that some of the less successful are the people that I don't really listen to in the raw world. But if you eat the cooked food, it's a slippery slope and you're going to somehow downfall. Look, I eat for my health. I want to keep pounding that message over and over. I was a 30-year drunk. And also, too, when the other people come out there, like, you act like I never had the meat. You never act like I've been passed out on the ground, with chicken bone in one hand and a beer in the other. So when I got into this is all about trying to give my body the best chance it can to repair itself and hopefully not have something later on in my life in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years that comes back to haunt me from that. So I'm always trying to, there's no slippery slope because I'm very purposeful. You might disagree with how I eat, but I always choose how I eat for a particular reason. And when I eat cooked, it's simple. And that's why I don't do any stuff related cooked because I don't have any recipes. I don't want any recipes. My cooked food is the simplest it can be. It's sweet potatoes, it's legumes, it's collards, and it's quinoa. And there's a few other things, but those are the main things that I eat. I just had a sweet potato for lunch a little while ago, and I don't put a lot of stuff on there. It's not even like I'm putting things on there. I don't use oil. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not trying to say it's evil. I mean, I eat at a restaurant maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks. Sometimes it'll be 2 months in between, and I'm sure there's some oil in there. But when I'm at home, when I make sweet potatoes and say beans or something, I'll use some salsa on there, or I'll use one of my savory salad dressing recipes. Collards have a really good nutrient profile. Hell, a lot of calcium in them. Very absorbable calcium in them. Iron, a little bit of iron too. Also helps to use a little citrus on there when you're like using greens, and it helps you absorb the iron just a little bit more. But that is it, and I keep it low fat. I don't keep it. And once again, low fat. A lot of people really need to kind of go back and see what the fat content really is in different foods, because once again, anytime you mention fat, there's going to be some raw person that crawls out of that they've heard this insane, like they're trying to not get any overt fat. If that's what you're trying to do, cool. But when I'm talking about eating some fat, I'm still keeping that in a low range. It's not like I say, I'm always juggling. If I eat some walnuts in the morning, that affects how much fat I'm going to eat for the rest of the day. The same thing with any of the fat that I'm taking in. So keep it simple. And just know, love all of y'all. I hope you do well no matter how you eat or what you're doing. But you're wasting your time when you come to me for that uber raw stuff and want me to help you juice, or when you're asking very detailed questions on, hey, well, I ate 3 pecans and I had this and that, and why does this happen? And I don't know all that stuff. I keep a simple plant-based diet. You don't have to eat like me. There's many different versions of it. There's different ways to do it, but just like I say, stick to the basics. And that's why I'm always talking about the people that I do and why they resonate with me, just for me personally, because they keep it simple. They're not out there getting into all this, other chatter and whatever. It's just like the basics of a plant-based diet. The doctors like Dr. Bernard, Dr. Bulsiewicz, Dr. Greger, who else? My brain's freezing right now. There's a ton of them out there, and people always mention who they are, but you know who I'm talking about. You know, the doctors that I'm always talking about on here. I don't have a list of them right now, but just the basic stuff, a basic plant-based diet. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you here again soon. Peace.